we as sales leaders and anybody in a sales organization that we need to be super clear on is you can sell it. Let's be honest, like you said, product A, product B, product C will usually solve the same problem. But it goes beyond, and I think the most successful sales organizations go beyond the initial deal.
Welcome yet to another fabulous episode of the B2B Sales Trends Podcast, my lovely people. The show that brings you hacks, tips, thought leadership to the topic of B2B selling. My name is Harry Kendlbacher, and today's episode is all about how do we shift or how do we move from funnel to culture, and how do we build revenue that really lasts. And with me today, our expert is Susana Klotz. Susana is the VP of Global New Client Acquisition at Kaseya. Welcome to the B2B Sales Trends Podcast, Susana.
Thank you so much, Harry. Excited to be here with you.
Pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. Susana, can you start by sharing a bit about your role, what your day-to-day looks like leading such a large global go-to-market team? That will be fabulous.
All right. So again, thank you so much, Harry, for having me here. So basically, what my day-to-day looks like, I have the privilege and the opportunity to lead globally a group of go-to-market sales killers. And basically, what we do on a daily basis is bring our products into the hands of multi-functioning IT professionals, and we help them solve all the problems that they face in efficient, cost manners. And in addition to that, I also have 4 awesome kids. They are the ones that drive me crazy, but they're definitely the ones that inspire me. So that's a little bit about, my overarching themes. And what does my day-to-day look like? It definitely starts with a lot of coffee. Starts off super duper early. And I kind of structure my day with 3 principles in mind. Number 1, what is the vision and the mission that the company is driving towards? And I ensure that my calendar is reflective of that. And especially as a leader in an organization, it's very easy to get lost in the dashboards, the reporting, the this, the that. But I think it's important that we always start off our day with what is our mission, what is our vision, and are my actions driving us towards that? So that's a little bit about me and my role.
Love it. Absolutely. Thank you so much for those kind words. And you certainly have your hands full with 4 kids and sales killers, as you said. That's a pretty full schedule you must have. It's interesting when you say about the vision and how do we drive towards it. And many companies these days focus heavily on either a long-term vision or short-term revenue, right? And so the question is really sometimes, how do we balance both? And what does it look like to work sort of backwards from growth goals all the way through the sales cycle? I would love to take you or get your take on that.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things to kind of live in on a daily basis and kind of get to the execution point. Because I always say in boardrooms, strategy and vision is designed, right? And it sounds great. And when you put it into a board deck, you're like, yes, this is awesome. This is what works. But in the practicality, what does it look to do that on a daily basis? So for me, again, that's why I told you I start my day-to-day on the what is my mission, what is my vision, and I read it. And then I look at my numbers, my dashboard. Like I still have to deliver revenue at the end of the day. So as much as I can, as much as I understand like where we need to be, by the end of this year, by the end of the next 5 years to hit our ultimate goals, what do I need to do today? So the way that I do that from a tactical standpoint is that I envision what does my business look like when it's operating in full excellence on that day, If I were to fast forward, what would it look like to see my sales team operating in that mission, that vision? And then I work backwards and I'm like, what are the gaps? What is not happening today that I know means that our mission and vision hasn't been fulfilled? Because again, those things evolve in companies, right? Like your mission and your vision has to be constantly evolving because your customer base is evolving. All of that is. So ultimately, you got to complete the mission. So for me, it's how do I daily synthesize those tactical items for the company in ensuring that, hey, if we want to complete XYZ, what's something I can do a little bit of it today and then a little bit more tomorrow? And a simple story, and like you said, I have 4 kids. The way that I kind of break this down for people when they're like, I need a better explanation for that. What does that mean? I go, school just started. And an ideal morning for me is we're out of the house by 7:05. The lunch boxes are packed with healthy snacks. Everyone's got their backpack, their hairbrush, the whole thing. But day one did not look like that. Day one was more like, can we at least everybody be wearing our uniforms and our backpacks and like take a step forward? Next week, we'll work on ensuring that everyone likes vegetables or at least some sort of vegetable that can go into the lunchbox and so on. And you build onto that ultimate vision, of what an ideal morning would look like. So I hope that's kind of helpful for picturing that.
So it's really about, so what are you saying, if I interpreted that correctly, it's really about building these daily habits in a way, and these daily, for lack of a better word, skills and behaviors for people really to come back to the professional world, to really focus on what they need to execute. Because I agree with you, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've seen so many boardroom strategies that in a way that fail, not because of the strategy not being the right one or not being sound or not being good. It fails because the people who need to execute that strategy really feel that there is a disconnect between what they are supposed to do and how the strategy breaks down to their daily habits and daily behaviors. And that's typically where that missing link is. Is that how? What's your take on that?
Yeah. I love that you took that turn there of what does it look like also for the people that are expected to execute, right? Because it's all relative. The boardroom has 2 people, 5, 10 people, but the people executing could be in the hundreds. So I think that the best way for me to answer that for you, it goes into 2 parts. I think number one, it's the people that make up that organization. Are they bought into the mission and the vision that the company is going to do, right? Do they truly believe that the mission that we are on, can we all unite on it? Is this something that we can believe in? And then after that, taking it a step down into the people that are going to execute, especially in sales, because the context of how we sell and who we're selling to is so diverse, and it can change constantly from every single phone call that you take. So I believe that takes me to one of my guiding principles: people support that which they help create. So here's my mission, here's my vision. This is the strategy that we're going to do to execute on it. But what does that strategy look like you said, on that daily habit? And is it something that everyone, from your frontline salespeople to their managers, to their directors, to rev ops, to sales ops, are they able all to uniformly execute on it? And do they all believe in it? So grabbing those stakeholders in each of those departments, and are we all singing from the same hymn book, for lack of better words? And is it repeatable? Because that's going to be the most important thing.
Right. And repeatable and scalable, right? And so really what you're describing is you really got to create that sales culture that, okay, so everybody is informed in what we have to do, but also really get focused on how we have to do it. I find the biggest disconnect is people know what to do. They understand it, but there's a disconnect of how do we now execute that in front of the customer or the prospect? And that's a real challenge. And so I know we had a briefing call on this a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about really, which I found really interesting, and I want to dig into this a bit, is the idea of how do we shift the sales culture? Because you have to have that culture to be able to execute that strategy. And currently a lot of sellers are still sort of, product pitching and sort of the same old sales process and the way they're doing it. What approaches have you found most effective in shifting your teams to focus on customer problems and real world challenges? And how do you make sure that these changes really stick and get executed to the level that you want it to?
Yeah. So I think, let me take you to a problem that we had specifically, right? One of our products that we used to have a super high conversion rate on. It just like started not crashing down, but going down. We track all the metrics and we were looking at it. And so I did what every sales leader should do. I started listening in on calls. And what you said was so true. They were selling a product and they were just pitching the product. And while what they were saying sounded great, the gift of gab does not work anymore. And that is what, best salespeople back in the day were good at. Like if you had the gift of gab, you could get the deal done. But now it's, you have to be more methodical. You have to have a process behind it. So you're like, how do you make it repeatable? How do you make it scalable? Yeah. So for me, it's more so on how do we approach the customer where they are in their journey? Because again, the context of sales is constantly changing. So I can give a sheet of discovery questions to a rep and they will repeat it. But if they don't understand the overarching theme of who the customer is, right, and they're maniacally obsessed with who the customer is, we're not going to be able to increase those conversion rates. So from a tactical standpoint, I took the time to really train all of our reps on, do you understand your customer base? Do you understand the problems that they face on a daily basis that do not allow them to hit their goals? Because I always give the example of when you go to the dentist, you go for a toothache. But ultimately, your dentist is not there to solve your toothache. Your dentist is there to provide you proper dental hygiene. And that is how you go back to the same dentist and all the support that the dentist would give you. So for me, it's, hey, cool, this product is going to solve it. But I changed the structure in the way we greet our customers. So before it was, here's a product. This is what the product does. That product is a part of our solution stack, which supports all of the problems that you face that are affecting you from being successful in your business. So from a practical standpoint, number one, we made them maniacally obsessed with who their customer base is. Then number two, I changed our sales process. And I made very specific tools available to them so that they could engage with the customer at the overarching theme of, tell me more about what it is that you are trying to achieve this year. Don't worry, I'm going to take care of your toothache. I've got the Novocaine here. We've got all of this taken care of for you. But let's go down the funnel versus starting at the specific product. And then after that, you're like, well, Susana, how do you make sure that people buy into this? I always grab a few people that are fully bought into the mission and the vision, and I prove my theories with them. And I have found that when I prove my theories with them and people start seeing their numbers go up, and people start being like, well, what are you doing different, Harry? What's going on? Well, I adopted this discovery training model. I adopted this pitch deck. I adopted this. By the way, it's all a part of the process that we released a month ago. Then that internal marketing, that internal culture starts increasing all of that for us.
I love it. And that's really the start of how you create that sales culture that we were touching on early on, right? But it's a journey, and I agree with you. And it's so interesting. We have a lot of conversations, obviously, as part of our organization, and the biggest issue that we face these days is how do we increase win rates, right? And okay, that's a problem statement, fine, but what's underlying there, right? So how do your people really behave in this? And if you think about your product and the 5 things your product can do, that's typically what people are focusing on. Oh, we've got to have a consultative sales conversation. I consult you on what my product can do. Well, that's not really good enough these days anymore. It's really about how can you help me improve my business and help me achieve my outcomes? And if people don't have that conversation, then, you're easily comparable. And therefore, if you're comparable, people commoditize you. And if they commoditize you, it's all about price. And if it's all about price, you win or lose, and usually you lose, right? Do you agree with that?
You can see like in my body, like I'm getting excited as you're sharing this, because to me, something that we as sales leaders and anybody in a sales organization that we need to be super clear on is you can sell it. Let's be honest, like you said, product A, product B, product C will usually solve the same problem. But it goes beyond, and I think the most successful sales organizations go beyond the initial deal. They go beyond the initial deal, meaning it's not just the discovery, the qualification, the demo, get the DocuSign, yay. It's at the beginning of the customer journey. Are you fully understanding what does the customer expect post DocuSign? What does the customer expect post that? Like, what do they envision their life and their partnership with you? Because ultimately, if I want a cheeseburger, I can go to McDonald's, to Burger King, to Shake Shack, or to like In-N-Out. And it's super simplified, but like, who's going to give me like the rewards points at the end? Who's the one that's going to be like, hey, we can deliver to your door fresh products for you? Like, who's the one that's going to be consistently? Because when the contract ends, are they going to renew with you? Are they going to stay with you long term? And will they continue to grow with you? So for you as a salesperson, like you said, understanding, yes, I'm going to solve your toothache. I got you. But more than anything, yes, I'm going to solve your problem. But what do you really want to accomplish by the end of this year, Harry? What does success look like for you? And how does my partnership with you go beyond this initial DocuSign? Because that right there, Harry, it's, I'm going to solve the toothache, but are we going to be able to continue working together post this? And what do you expect from me as your provider for that?
I love that. And I would imagine, if I come to you with a problem with the toothache in this case, and you immediately position that I share, this is the tooth that aches, and you immediately position that you can help me solve this very quickly, and we need to have a conversation that's beyond that, then I'm more willing to share it, because in my mind, you're taking care of my immediate problem. And then I'm willing and open to talk about whatever comes afterwards. And therefore, I can really talk about these, what we call underappreciated needs that I, haven't possibly appreciated that you can help me with. And that's the long-term relationship piece. I sometimes, and I wonder if that's also your experience, we come across a lot of salespeople who tend to have, in my words, to have that premature problem-solving problem or issue. So you tell me about your toothache. They tell you about the 5 different tools they're going to use to solve your toothache, right? And so the salespeople really, in my opinion, need to resist the urgency to premature problem solve and really surface all the issues that are behind this, and generate also needs in a way that help the customer to think differently about you and your organization, how we could collaborate and really facilitate that conversation on outcome so you can help me achieve my outcomes. Does that resonate with you? Is that something that is of value in your opinion?
Yeah, and I think like the one thing that you elaborated on is what brought them to this problem. So for example, for you, Harry, let's pretend that you came in here because you love rock candy, or maybe because you're not using the right toothpaste or whatever it is. But, and again, I'll always use the same, I use my kids as examples for everything. It's either my kids or that's what it is. But the other day they were arguing in the morning and they both wanted to sit in a very specific car seat. And me as a mom, I just went into like full solution mode. And I decided, let me take a step back and understand. Hey, Kevin, why do you want that seat? Hey, Corbin, why do you want that seat? Ultimately, I needed to sell both of them a seat. But the reason why they both wanted that seat was very different. And the reason why they would stay with that seat is very different. One of them wanted it so he could get out of the car first to see his friends. The other one wanted it so she could play in the car with her brother. Very different reasons why they want my product. Very different reasons why they'd agree to move forward with my product. And ultimately, one of them needed a different solution, right? And one of them needed this solution. So when you don't understand the frustration that your customer is experiencing, because all they want is to solve the toothache, all they want is the chair, but you take that step back and you're like, what brought you here really? What made you Google dentist?
Yeah.
What made you Google marketing software?
Yeah.
What brought you there? Like, what did that to you? So I love that you brought that up. Definitely the before and after, right?
It's interesting, nowadays everybody talks in what I want and help me solve this quickly because we got to move on quickly, right? And everybody talks in once, and it's difficult to dig down into, why do you need this? Because as we know, in theory, right, a want can only be satisfied with that one thing that you are asking for. And a need, there are multiple ways to satisfy that need. So if I can get that mindset, and that's a simple thing to understand, but how do you execute that when the customer or the prospect is pushing back, when they're already super informed about you, your organization, and your product? And what's the stat? 70-ish% of the buying decision has been made before they talk to a salesperson. So sort of collect all that stuff, right? Those elements. And then for them to say, I want you to solve my toothache, then, sometimes it's no wonder that salespeople get drawn into that conversation and just focused on that problem, don't you think?
And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of them lose too.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Yeah.
Because they get stuck on that. And when you don't fully understand what is going on in their environment,
right?
What is their situation, that might not be the actual problem that they're facing. The problem, and that's why you have to be an expert in your customer base.
Yeah.
Because when you're an expert in your customer base,
right,
you can pull together stories and you can pull together data even to say, hey, I know that this is the problem that you're facing, but have you ever faced this, that, and that? Because it sounds to me more so like this is where you're living, not here.
Right.
This is just the annoying thing that you're seeing right now.
Right. Exactly. I want to go back with one question in relation to that topic of, turning strategy into culture. We discussed that there's one thing to sort of build a strategy or a plan. It's another thing to really embed it into the culture and cross, like in your case, hundreds of people. What has helped you to ensure that this strategy isn't just heard, but lived daily? And you touched on a couple of things already. I want to go a little bit deeper on that. How do you help them to live this daily in how teams sell and engage in the way you need them to with their customers?
Yeah. So I think we go back to one of the first points that I shared with you. Are they fully bought into the vision and the mission, right? So that's first and foremost. So cool. We've got that down packed. Those are the people sitting in my seats. Now, if I roll out a new strategy today, a new process, do this, and I just tell them this is what we are doing, and go, 50% of the people won't even do it, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then if I tell them this is because they don't even know how we're going to do it. They're like, cool, we're going to sell this product because this is what we're doing, but how do I sell it? Right. And then there you get a few more people on board. But I think the biggest way that you get that movement is when they fully are bought into the why we're switching it. I don't understand, Susana. Last week you told me we were selling this product like this because this is what we needed to do. Why the shift now? Like, why can't I just talk about this specific product and just do it this way, the way that you told me? And I go, because this is why.
Right.
And you have to have those. And I think that one of the key things that has helped me a lot in my career is that internal marketing. It's that ability to ensure that, because you said something, culture shifting the way hundreds of people are doing something. And I think the biggest way is I got to get buy-in. And I always say this, my boss is great. I work for my boss, but I don't work for him. I work for my reps. So if I understand what they're doing on a daily basis and how they're executing on it, and I'm able to explain to them the why we are making a shift, because they have to trust you. Harry, last week I was making a lot of money doing this like this. And now you're telling me as a salesperson, I got to change this again? No, my guy. But it's them understanding the why, the what, and the how. And then from a very tactical standpoint, any strategy that I execute, the first thing I do is how can I prove that it's actually happening? Because if I can't prove it, either through reports, audits, or something, How do I even know that my strategy is what's working out on the sales floor today? So from an overarching thing, explain what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and why. But I always recommend we start with why, then how, then what. And then after that, it's whatever you're going to roll out, for lack of better words. Can you measure it and prove that it's actually happening? Because if you can't do that, the other things don't matter anyways.
Love it. Absolutely. I tell you, I come across a lot of sales leaders, and the people who work for you can be very appreciative of the way you lead them. I got to tell you, they're very, very cool. Last question, Susana. Same question on every single episode that we do is obviously you've seen a number of salespeople. Buying has changed quite a bit. That focus on how do we drive customer outcomes? How do we put the customer-centric approach first? What, in your opinion, are the top 3 qualities that elite salespeople nowadays need to possess to be at that elite level? What are those top 3 things? And ideally share them with us in priority 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. So 1, 2, and 3. So I think I'll go from the bottom up. Actually, I'll start with 3 and then what I believe is the most important. So I think 3, and I think it ties into a lot of the things that we talked about, is the best salespeople follow the rules of ABC, and it's not always be closing. It's always be curious. When you are so curious about your customer that you become obsessed with what they're doing, they see that and they trust it and they want to be a part of the future conversations with you. It is not you, it's about them. The second thing that I would probably say is, and apparently I have acronyms for everything, it's your ability to have BBA, bounce back ability. Being in sales is tough. One of my favorite interview questions to ask people is, why are you in sales? This is probably one of the hardest careers in the world. Why are you in sales? And what I always hear is, I love the ability to fall and get back up. I love that. And to me, bounce back ability is a key indicator. If you are a great salesperson, when you get the no and the door shut in your face, are you able to get back up? And then I think the most important one, which ties into a lot of the things that we spoke about today, it's and it is your ability to be consistent, and to be consistent in the things that matter. Do you have habits in your daily life? And this, I believe, relates to anybody who wants to be successful in any career. Are you a slave to your habits? Are you somebody who, no matter what happens in your day, you know that 9 to 10, it's your power hour. 10 to 12, you're doing this. Are you a slave to your habits? Because when you are a slave to your habits, you're able to truly be successful in anything that you do, because you know that these are the things that I know will make me win today. And no matter what happens today, this is what I'm going to do, because I know that I have won with this recipe before, and I'm going to continue to win with this recipe.
I love it. I love it. Susana, thank you. I know our listeners very much appreciate your insights and your thought leadership. Thank you for taking the time to be with us during that recording today.
Thank you so much, Harry, for the opportunity. Excited to have been here today with you.
My lovely people, you heard it here from Susana. Consistent habits, bounce back ability, and always be curious are the 3 things you should be taking away from this and focusing on and executing in your day-to-day life. 2 calls to action for you. Go to the B2B Sales Trends.com, subscribe and share this or other episodes with people who you think they might be benefiting from this. Go to our YouTube channel, B2B Sales Trends Podcast. And until the next episode, look after yourself and, of course, your loved ones and your B2B customers. Bye-bye.